Welcome back. Ghana's long-term local and foreign currency issuer default ratings have been lowered by ratings agency Fitch from CCC to CC, or further junk status, and that's the worst rating ever. This is the second time in 2022 that it has downgraded Ghana's creditworthiness. It is also coming days after President Akufo-Addo took a swipe at ratings agencies at a UN conference for unfairly assessing and rating African countries poorly at a time the global economy was going through a difficult period. Now, to get more insights into this, we have Harrison Ahogba. He's an investment and financial analyst who joins me from Ghana. Hi, Harrison, how are you doing today?
I'm fine. How are you doing in Nigeria?
Fine. So how did the country react to this recent downgrade by Fitch? This is the second time this year.
So thank you so much, and Channels TV for the opportunity, and I trust you are doing well in Nigeria. So just like you rightly said in your intro, it's a thing of a shock to us as a country. We are still trying to understand and download the downgrade, because barely 2 months ago we were downgraded from the B+ to CC, not knowing something bad was going to happen. So the shock is still rife, both for individuals, businesses, and even the nation as a whole, especially whilst we're preparing to have a discussion with IMF. It's just like very terrible timing for the downgrade.
So the IMF, as we know, was currently in the country, in Ghana, for formal negotiations for an economic program which is necessary to forestall a debt default and also stabilize the economy in the short to medium term. Is there an increased likelihood that Ghana will pursue a debt restructuring given mounting financing stress?
So sincerely, there is no better time to consider this suggestion of a debt restructuring. So basically, currently, when you look at our debt to GDP ratio, it's in excess of 75 to 80%. Considering all other things, the debt to GDP ratio is very terrible now. So what it means is that we are even concentrating on the local debt, which forms close to 40% of the total debt of the country. Now, this local debt is made up in two forms: the local currency, Ghana cedi, and some investment in the foreign currency. So in terms of restructuring, there are basically two options open to the government. Either you're going to extend maturities, or you are going to ask people to buy back or reduce their interest rate. So in terms of positioning, the timing and restructuring looks very feasible. However, would have to be guided by the economic indicators, not to cause a lot of panic, because typically what it means is that if you have an investment for a 91-day treasury bill for, say, 20%, the option that will be open to you as a customer for restructuring is, okay, would you want to extend it to 182, which is 6 months, at X amount of rate, or would you still maintain the 91 days investment, and we can reduce your interest rate from, say, 20% to like 15%. So those are the two options open to us, but it looks very likely that debt restructuring will be happening. It just reminds us of what happened in Jamaica in the early 2000s thereabout. So it's not relatively new, but it likely that is the option the government will go for.
Yeah, so also the IMF says that the government's fiscal efforts to protect or preserve debt sustainability is not seen as sufficient enough, and that's why we're seeing the credit ratings downgrade by ratings agencies, and also we're seeing a flight. Non-resident investors are exiting the capital market, the debt market, and also lack of access to international capital markets. How can investors really protect themselves in Ghana?
It's a very dire situation for investors, and here, if I say investors, we're looking at both individuals and businesses, and even sometimes nations. We have big corporate giants who have invested in the country, expecting their dividends to be paid. Individuals, both onshore and offshore, have also invested in the country. There is that sense of anxiety, there's that sense of fear, there is that sense of the fact that barely 5 years ago in 2017, when the banking sector was cleaned up in Ghana, so questions are being asked, what is going to happen to our funds, ultimately driving a perception for a panic withdrawal. Now we have to manage this relationship very well from the regulator point, and then from the financial services providers, and then from the individual. So as a customer or as an individual, you'd want to watch keenly, because if you go withdraw your money now, what is the opportunity cost? If you are thinking of investing, which is not the ideal situation in foreign currency, i.e. dollar, pound, and euro, they are not even on the market for you to have access to. So investors have the option of watch and play, looking at it. So if it causes a panic withdrawal psychologically, but we believe with time we should be able to adjust, especially if we hear the feedback from the IMF, which is works so hard to streamline the economic stability based on the debt management officers and whatever solution that they'll bring to us.
Thanks so much, Harrison Ahogba, investment and financial analyst in Ghana, for joining us today and sharing your thoughts on the economic situation in Ghana. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.